sworn here in the Alberta Local Court. David.
Thank you very much. Is that working still?
No.
Did you sabotage it already, Mark? I wouldn't do that to you. It's working now?
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you out for this discussion, debate, exploration of issues that many of us have heard of indoors for years. As many of you know, I've been here in LA for 11 years, and I've enjoyed almost every minute of it. You've been a wonderful community. I've raised my children, and now 10 grandchildren are coming up to participate in this community. It's such a joy to see them developing. I was out with my 2 granddaughters over in Sunnyside. They arrived from Haiti 6 months ago, 6.5 years old. They'd never seen a bicycle before, and they were pedaling up and down the street for the first time in their lives. It was such a joy. On the other side, I met a young mother last week, 2 children, single mother. Her husband died. He was, I think, 38, 40 from cancer. She has 4 part-time jobs. She's barely surviving. Yet she came out to a meeting to meet me and to hear some of the issues that she wanted to hear discussed. Why are so many people being left behind in this province? Why are so many people struggling to get the basic essentials of life? A roof over their head, food on the table, stable job, education that is in many cases unaffordable for them, and child care that is simply unaffordable and in some cases not the quality or the access that they can get to. This is a province of such richness, such bounty, and so many people being marginalized. After 11 years, I was sure that we'd change this government. I thought it would only be 10 years until the population rose up and threw out this tired Tory triumvirate. It's a government that has lost its way. It has screwed up healthcare seriously. We now have the longest wait times in history, quality problems, access problems. It is a travesty of the healthcare system that I worked in for 15 years, and it has undermined the public health system, the prevention side of the system, that used to have 5% of the budget and now has 3% of the budget. Is it any surprise that our hospitals are full when we don't take advantage of early intervention in childhood, get children into early childhood development programs, deal with learning disabilities, emotional disabilities early, and they end up causing problems in school, teachers that can't cope with a larger number of kids, high school fees. This is really a government that has completely lost its way. It is so bought by the corporations that they can't even charge the corporations a fair tax. They're going to ask the multi-billion-dollar corporations to pay the same as you and I, 10%. Ralph Klein brought that in 1999 and gave up roughly $5 billion a year. Funny thing, we have no savings. We spent all the wealth in this province in one generation, and we have no alternate plan for the future except more oil and gas. This is not leadership, this is not good government, and I will continue for another term at least until I see substantial change here. I'd be remiss if I didn't, in absence, thank my wife for being there with me over the last 11 years. She's an introvert. She doesn't enjoy being out in public and hearing lots of issues debated and lots of people to meet. But she wants to send her regards to everyone, and on my behalf, I needed to thank her. I need to thank my board here in Calgary Mountain View. Many of them have been here with me for 11 years or longer. I want to thank my campaign team, many of them here today, who have helped me get underway with the campaign 2015. This is an important election. As I say to people across the province, please, folks, I know you're disgusted with politics today. This is not the time to walk away from it. It is not going to get better if you throw up your hands and say, a pox on all of them. They're all corrupt. It is a time to get engaged with the party you believe in. I hope it's the Liberals. But the party you believe in, the individual you can trust, and trust is the issue of this election. Trust is the issue in this election. If you haven't seen all the flip-flops, broken promises, and failed investments in this province, a hospital in the south that was supposed to be $550 million, now $1.1 billion, and smaller than it was expected to be. and cuts to the mental health programs, the programs that are most needed in this province, then you haven't been paying attention. This is a government that has lost its way and lost the trust of Albertans. We are championing a fair tax regime where the large corporations will pay just a modest amount more, from 10 to 12%, where small business will have a reduction in taxes so we can stimulate new business, create new jobs, move toward an innovative economy, which we haven't had. And thirdly, if you earn less than $50,000 a year, which is actually more than half the people in Alberta, surprisingly, or less than $50,000. The median income is $42,000 a year in Alberta today. That may shock some of you. That's the commonest income in Alberta. We will reduce your tax from 10% to 9.5%. So it's time to give people a break and a hand up so that people can survive, at least, and thrive, and have the services they need to move to success and contribution back. I think this is a critically important election, and I know you believe that, or you wouldn't be here. What can be more important for job creation? 5 minutes left? I'll have more to say.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming out tonight. One good thing about tonight is that the Calgary Flames won on Saturday, so you can all come out. One of the things that I'd like to start off with again is much as said in Mark, is to thank the Community Association for hosting this event. I'm a vice president of another county community association, and I understand the value of volunteerism. It makes everything easy and I say pleasurable for both the citizens and the constituents in the area. So again, I want to thank the volunteers here. I also want to thank the Calgary Leadership Forum and James Maxson for hosting this event. This type of event is good in that it allows the constituents to have a voice in the community, a voice in the public forum, a voice in the political forum. So again, thank you, James, and to Calgary Leadership Forum. A bit about myself. I'm a property owner in Briar Hill. I'm married with 3 daughters, adult daughters. We've been, residents in Calgary for 35 years. Starting in 1980 when I first came out to work at the Regional Hospital as a methods analyst, and then subsequently at the Calgary General as a management engineer, and subsequently there, and 30 years at the City of Calgary as a manager. One of the things I'd like to basically speak about is leadership. As many of you have heard before, Peter Drucker has once said that management is about doing the right things, and leadership is about doing things right. The most important thing about communication, though, is listening to what is not necessarily heard. We believe the PC Party hasn't demonstrated leadership effectively, nor have they listened to what's been, has been, and hasn't been heard effectively. Since 2004, the PC government has led us through a series of deficits and blamed us on the capitulum bubble, blamed us on the financial market, blamed us today on OPEC. They're also blaming us on you. I said it eloquently earlier about looking in the mirror. Sorry, I'm not looking in the mirror. Peter Drucker, again, when we refer to leadership, he said about talking about doing the right things. We need new leadership. We need new leadership that understands the business environment, the political economy, the economics of society, the implications of the global financial markets, energy, political, and social influences around the world. We need leadership that can take these things all together, all the individual pieces, and manage it effectively. We need somebody who can actually score a goal with the world that we've got in front of us today. Peter Prentice often uses hockey analogies, and I'll use one here today. We need a leader who can skate around the obstacles and be able to shoot the winning goal. We do not need a leader who stands in the blue line and shoots pucks and hits us square in the face. I'm sorry, Albertans cannot handle that. As I mentioned, I have a 35-year public service career, and people often say public service is that the same as private sector. Public service is the same as private sector, except that it has an entirely different venture as well, and that's recognizing value. Value for your tax dollars. Value for the public outcome that you need and you want. As a 35-year public servant, I have done the right things, and I have done things right. As I mentioned before, in the healthcare environment, I have undertaken changes associated with redesign of facilities, associated with design of new technology, innovation, design around business process improvements. These are the types of changes that we need to look at within our government today. Finding the efficiencies, finding the streamlines opportunities, and harvesting those and finding the capacities that we can reallocate to find a greater value in Alberta. We cannot afford to do this just simply by taxing as opposed to fixing the problem. The other thing I've also done, as I mentioned before, is work in the City of Calgary. And with the City of Calgary, I've done a number of different things, whether it be through implementing market value assessments back in 1999, through new technologies, new innovations. At the same time, handling corporate reorganizations in 2001, working with our administrations to build better relationships with electrical utility NMAX in the event of a sale at that time, which will also be canceled, but we now have a better working relationship. I spent 10 years working with the City of Calgary and doing 3-year business plans and budgets, working on capital infrastructure investments, knowing how to work on what we call public outcome first, then figuring out what needs to be done. Public outcomes, listening to the constituents and understanding what is it that you value in your lives, in your front doors, and as you drive down the streets. Knowing what is valuable to you and the risk associated with it. Then building the appropriate business plans, building appropriate budgets, and prioritizing them accordingly. Not about building business plans and budgets based upon favoritism, not based on cronyism, and not based upon the wishes that are not substantiated. As I mentioned earlier, in my background career, there was, from an education perspective, I've studied industrial engineering, management engineering, I've studied business planning as well as budgeting. I think I understand what a budget looks like, and I think I understand how to put together a budget that is transferable.
The next part of the debate is that there will be 3 questions. And one question is going to be asked by the Calgary River Action Committee. Like myself, a lot of you in this particular area were affected by the flood in 2013. I myself lost my complete basement to 9 feet of sewer water, completely contaminated, and we rebuilt. But within the area of Rio Roxborough, we're still rebuilding, and it's a long, ongoing operation. Not only within the communities along the Elbow River, but along the Bow River. So on behalf of the Calgary River Action Committee, I'd like to call upon their representative, Gloria Ma, to ask a question of each of the candidates. And the candidates will answer each of the questions as the speaking order that they started off with, and they have 3 minutes to answer that question. Thank you. Gloria?
Thank you, James. Good evening, candidates. We are approaching the 2nd anniversary of the devastating southern Alberta flood that caused $6 billion worth of damages to this province. To date, no flood mitigation strategy has been implemented to protect Bow River communities in this very constituency and the downtown core. If you are elected, what flood mitigation strategy will you advocate and implement to ensure that the City of Calgary, the economic engine of Canada, is protected during the next inevitable flood?